living God is working in our lives and around our lives. And see, and I'm glad to know that we don't have to wait and go into the Bible and read about what's been done in the past. But we can talk about what he's doing in our lives in this future. Yeah. Meaning that he's the same God that was operating in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, and he's operating in our lives today. Yeah. And see, that is the way that it's supposed to be, because the Messiah said that those that are left here are going to be allowed to do greater things than he done. And what that meant is that the same spirit that was working back in the Old Testament is still working today. Yes. And see, and if you can't send up a prayer, and if you can't get an answer to a prayer, then that means that God is dead. But I'm glad to know that he's not dead and that he's yet alive, because all these good praise reports came through today saying how that he worked out things in your lives. And so I thank God for that. We're going to get ready to get into our lesson this week, and I'm fixing to pass them out. But our lesson title for this week is The Lord's Covenant with Abram.
Thank you, honey.
There's something for y'all. Hand me one more. And so, it's good to know that he's still on the throne and he's still operating and doing things for us in our lives and around our lives. Everybody got one?
It looks better.
So y'all like that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I ain't made my mind the way they're going to start being. So I'm glad y'all agree with it.
Yes.
We're going to read Genesis chapter 15 today. And if everybody would turn there first. Genesis chapter 15. Would everybody get there? By the raise a hand or either amen.
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 All right.
Thank you, honey. You always help me. Thank you, baby.
In Genesis chapter 15, the first verse says, After this, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid. I am your shield,
Thank you, baby.
your very great reward. But Abram said, O sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless? Give me just a second. Got a little problem on the page. There we go. And the one who will inherit my estate is Eleazar of Damascus. And Abram said, You have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. Then the word of the Lord came to him. This man will not be your heir, but a son coming from your own body will be your heir. He took him outside and said, Look up at the heavens and count the stars. If indeed you can count them, then he said to him, so shall your offspring be. Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. He also said to him, I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans, to give you the land to take possession of it. But Abram said, O sovereign Lord, how can I know that I will gain possession of it? So the Lord said to him, bring me a heifer, a goat, a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a young pigeon. Abram brought all these to him, cut them in two, and arranged the halves opposite each other. The birds, however, he did not cut in half. Then birds of prey came down on the carcasses, but Abram drove them away. As the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep. A thick and dreadful darkness came over him. Then the Lord said to him, know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and they will be enslaved and mistreated for 400 years. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterwards they will come out with great possessions. However, you will go to your fathers in peace and be buried at a good old age. In the 14th generation, your descendants will come back here, for the sins of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure. When the sun had set and darkness had fallen, a smoking firepot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham and said, to your descendants, I give this land, from the rivers of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, the Kazizonites, the Kadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. I have read in your hearing, Genesis 6:15. Now, if you look at our paper, the very first part of the paper, we've already read that. If you go down to the last paragraph that says, where it says, God assured Abram. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Right there, that's where we're going to start, because we've already read the first part. God assured Abram of safety, and that he secured Abram from all evil. Assurance was given to Abram of the land of Canaan from an inheritance. As it was with Abram, when you are met with seasons of darkness and distress, it is not the will of God that you should be cast down. Fear not, for all that he was to Abram, he will be to you. Now let's talk about that a minute. When you start going through life problems, and you start dealing with all of the things that can happen, car breaking down, water pipes at the house busting, a flat tire, a house that he told you to go and get, now it's being foreclosed on. A job that he told you that he had given to you, you just got fired off of it. How would you feel about a situation like that?
I'd be upset.
You'd be upset, right? And the next thing you would be doing, you would probably be questioning if the true and living God actually told you, or if you was listening to yourself, or if you was listening to a friend. However you end up in that situation, you got some questions, am I correct?
Yes.
And with those questions, you need some answers, right?
Yes.
Well, throughout this lesson, I'm going to show you that even though Abraham is the father of all nations, and he's spoken of from Genesis to Revelation, that this man still has some of the same problems and some of the same dilemmas that we have on a day-to-day basis. Because, see, it's easy for you to come up here, and if I was told to tell you something from the true and living God, if he told me to tell you, tomorrow, you're going to be blessed with $10,000. How many of you can stand still if I told you that? How many of you could really stand still in that moment when I told you that a blessing was coming your way tomorrow of $10,000? You're going to be just as quiet as is in this room right now?
Everybody be screaming.
Would be able to sleep. Couldn't sleep.
Okay, because we already know how people get at the time of the lottery when they telling you the ticket numbers and they telling you that you have a chance at winning millions and millions of dollars. There's a lot of talk going on about it, and the main talk is what I would do with it if I won, right? Well, that's a different. That's a chance you take. See, every time you play the lottery, every time you gamble, that's a chance you take. Now, is anything wrong with you taking a chance? No, ain't nothing wrong with you taking a chance. But it's a difference than the true and living God sending a message to you saying that you're going to win this amount of money or you're fixing to get this new car. And have anybody ever had the true and living God tell them anything like that? You are in your prayer closet, you've been praying before him, and he said, okay, I done heard your prayer. Tomorrow I want you to act on what you've been praying about. Have anybody ever been through that? Oh, I know I have. Several times. I can tell you of 2 cars that sit in that parking lot that he told us to go get one week and turn around and told me the next week to go get the other. After we had been praying about transportation. I can tell you stories of where he said, in your business I'm fixing to bless you, and the blessings came so fast that I was sitting up there saying, wow. Money started coming up in the bank accounts. We went from being concerned about a bill being paid to being concerned about what we can do for people. That's a good place to be when you go from being concerned about how you're going to pay your bills to going to the place of being concerned about how I can help somebody else with their bills.
Yeah.
That's a good place to be in. Okay, but it's a better place to be in when it is really there and the finances are there. Because sometimes he'll put you into a situation in him growing you where he will ask you to take things that you actually need and give to somebody else. And that is to grow your faith. So I've been in both of those situations. But I'm bringing this up because this is a dilemma that Abram is fixing to bring right here in this lesson to the forefront of the true and living God. And when he brings it to the forefront of the living God, he's going to be asking some questions and he's going to want some answers. All right? So the last sentence on the first page says, Abram was struggling against unbelief. Abram was also concerned about the outcome of his family. Now let's stop right there before we turn over. Now, any man or any woman that cares about their family, this is something that your concern is what? Every day. I wake up every morning wanting to give Linda a better day than I gave her yesterday. I want to make sure that her needs are met at a greater level than they was met yesterday. Because that is my job. Okay? And then we have children. The only reason why I'm not speaking about them at this time, because most of them are out of the nest. They already gone. They are grown. But when they were there, the first thing I thought about when I woke up in the morning, when I was driving to work, if I was driving to work, and see, me and Linda are blessed. We work for ourselves now. We own our own business, so it ain't no clocking in to nobody. We clock in at our own clock. We get up when we get ready. We lay down when we get ready. That's a blessing. Okay? But in the days when I didn't have that luxury, when I was driving down the street in those early morning hours, I was thinking about what this child said they wanted, what this one said they wanted, and then prom is coming up. And this one is finishing high school. Now, how am I going to pay for this college? And this one needs a car, and that one needs a car. And so those were my concerns as being a father. So there were some questions that I needed answered. How was I going to do this? And then if I'm going to live for you, are you going to provide these things for me? Because your word said that if I would do what? Delight myself in him, he would give me the desires of my heart. And the desires of my heart is always going to be first for my family, and then me next. Okay? Now let's put it in the right order. My desires first is going to be for the things of who? The living God. And then the desires of my family. And if anything left over, then I'm good. And anybody that knows me, they can tell you that's the way Marcus have always lived. It's always been his family before him. And that's a good place to live, because if their needs are met, then who else's needs are going to be met? My needs are going to be met. It says Abram was also concerned about the outcome of his family, who would inherit his great reward. Now Abram, he appreciated the promise from God. But at the same time, Abram was asking questions of the Most High. Where are the descendants you promised me? Look at that question a minute. Where are the descendants you promised me? So he's concerned about this. I got all this, see, because at this point, when he left the city that he was living in and went on started this mission, he was already a wealthy man.
Yes, he was.
He already had plenty of wealth. He did not have a financial need that wasn't met. That's a good place to be. But he had other things that were not in place that was a great concern for him, and that was his descendants. Abraham is having a conversation with Yahweh. You have prospered me materially, and now promise to give me more. So now you already done blessed me, and now you're already promising to give me more. And then if you remember the last two lessons, as he went from city to city, he was picking up more wealth when he was in Egypt, when he was trying to hide the fact that Sarai was his wife. And he said that she was who?
His sister.
His sister. But through that situation, he walked out of Egypt with more wealth. It says he walked out with donkeys, he walked out with cattle, he walked out with more servants, he walked out with a wealth of things. But this is not his concern. His concern is my descendants. So Abram is having a conversation with Yahweh. You have prospered me materially, and now promise to give me more and to protect me. But what good is it if I don't have a descendant to give it to? Now, is anybody else in the room that would be concerned about that? If you had all this wealth? But you don't know who you're going to leave it to. So I'm going to make everybody in this room a millionaire. All y'all millionaires.
Thank you.
But you don't know when you pass away who's going to receive what you leave here?
Yeah.
Would you not be concerned about that?
Yeah.
Eleanor, would you not be concerned about that? Miss Barbara, would you not be concerned about that?
Sure, I'd be concerned.
How about Miss Phyllis? Would you be concerned?
Yes, I would.
What about it, James?
I wouldn't.
You would.
No, because I feel like the Lord gave it to me, it should be passed.
I already knew that was going to be his answer.
Pass it on.
Yeah.
See, I already knew that was going to be his answer.
We're just here. We're just here to
Temporary,
learn
yeah.
to do His work.
Mhm.
It ain't our
His will,
work,
yes.
His work.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
And you know what? Most
I
people,
wouldn't be with
most people that don't have to work for wealth, or don't have to get out there and just really struggle to get wealth, their heart is like his. The true and living God will allow them to obtain different things because He knows they can handle it. He knows that that's not going to wipe them out. That's not going to change their character. That's not going to take them from doing the things that He needs them to do. See, He couldn't have picked a man that would not put his business first. Why would He tell Abram, if he was a man that the more wealth that he got, he went into being a wicked man and doing a lot of sinful acts? Why would He ask him to be the father of every nation? There would be no need for that. Because it wouldn't be accomplished. He was already what? Set up for failure. But He chose Abraham. He said, but what good is it if I don't have a descendant to give it to? Then what He say to him? He said to the true and living God, I want the son you promised to what? To give me. Abram came bold and honestly before the Lord, which is a good example of prayer. See, instead of holding his frustration, he brought it before God with a what?
Honest heart.
With an honest heart. Now, I think you can really get His attention when your heart is honest. I think you can really get His attention when you come before Him without a motive. See, because most people, they either call on Him when they need Him, or they call on Him when they got a motive. And both is a need to them. And He's looking at this, okay, so you call on me now because you done got yourself in a little bit of trouble, or either you calling on me because you need me to work something out for you that really you can work out for yourself, but your motives are not right. Okay, so now you're calling me in on it. But it says that Abram came before Him with an honest heart. And this is the way that you need to approach the true and living God every time you approach Him.
Yes.
It says,